Welcome back to the lonely road.
The
I
loneliest
apologize.
road.
I've been walking the loneliest road ever. It seems like I got sick and then I started feeling better and then I got sick and kids and oh my god, it's been one hell of a fucking 2 weeks.
Shit, I'm sorry, Zach. I'm
Just
sorry you've been feeling so shitty.
it's not even
Glad
like
to be here.
it's not even like I'm like horrible and in the ground. It's like I'm at like 50, 65%. I can't like push past it.
Hmm.
So it just sucks. Cause like I have no
Yeah.
energy. Like yesterday I woke up, I stayed up waiting to see if our phones were going to come in. They didn't for some reason, even though they were in the closest place for UPS closest to me. And then they're like, okay, well, I guess they're not coming today. So I came upstairs and I laid down and I'm like, I can't do anymore today. Today is done. Bookend. It's done now. And just move on to the next day.
It's done for today. Oh
Yeah, I took
wow,
a
it's
nap.
early
I
for
took
that.
like yeah, that was yesterday.
Okay.
That was like 11 o'clock in the morning because I was being a lazy ass. But yeah, I was horribly, horribly exhausted. I don't know. My mom and Bree seem to think that it's turning into pneumonia. So I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping, you know, I take a nap randomly and all of a sudden all this stuff disappears. That would be fantastic.
Oh goodness gracious. All right. Well, today the topic's a little bit heavier. And so you'd notice my name. If you are struggling, please text or call 988 in here in the US. It's going to be touching along the lines of unaliving. And so we want to make sure that everybody that is listening has that kind of trigger warning, if you will, and also the resource to to help themselves. Our comment section is always great to jump into as well. We're not professionals, please, but we can tailor an episode around something that you're dealing with and would like to hear more about. So keep that in mind as well.
But I do think that this episode is not going to be like the normal, oh my God, I'm starting to feel like this again. It's going to show you the opposite side that everybody's going to like when you go into this topic and you're like, oh my God, somebody has passed or somebody has chosen to pass. Everybody sits there and thinks, oh, how many people are you going to hurt? Not what was going on in your life, not the path that you were going down, not how everything else is looking. It is totally and entirely just the emotions that you've left and caused. And I don't think that that is the proper way to help people heal out of this at all whatsoever in any circumstance. Like it creates such a paradox of like, oh my God, you're being selfish because you're choosing not to do this anymore. And I personally, dealing with it myself, dealing with my ex who dealt with suicidal ideation all of the fucking time, I don't think that sitting here and just telling somebody that they're selfish because they don't want to do this anymore is the correct way to help somebody look past what the fuck they're doing right now.
Hmm.
I think like actually looking into these circumstances and looking into these stories and looking into like what actually could happen is the way that you can actually genuinely start to heal them and help them see what the fuck is actually going on in their head. Because
Yeah, yeah,
normally, most people, I don't think want to pass. I don't think anybody really does. Yeah, you could be sick and you could be struggling with that thought process, but I don't think in the end you actually want to do it, which is why a lot of the people that don't pass when they jump off a bridge or something like that, they are like, yeah, I'm happy that I didn't. I'm still here and I'm going to keep going. It's not like they run back up to the bridge and jump again.
yeah, yeah, and I think along those lines of having loved someone that has those challenges. We both have once loved someone who struggled deeply with these thoughts and ideations, and what I learned in that season is that love's very powerful, but it cannot replace someone's desire to stay, to make the decision to stay. And so, you can't wrap your thoughts around, if you just love them more or harder, that they'll want to,
Mhm.
because honestly, a lot of that has really nothing to do with it, but it is something that a lot of people do think about. Now, honestly, if you're listening to this and it touches close to home, I do want you to know that this is not about shame. Like Zachary just said, it's not an episode surrounded by that shame, because it's just about, because we don't want anybody to think that they're are the problem in the situation. That's not what it is at all. It's about understanding the weight that both people carry in the situation,
Yeah.
and what comes after for the people that are surviving.
Yeah, I was scrolling on Twitter one day, which, ADHD, I do this
Mm.
all of the fucking time. I'm sure that I sent this to KJ at the most weird, awkward time in the fucking day. I have no idea even when I sent it. But this post reads like this. It says, content warning, obviously, for what it is. When my dad ended his life 3 years ago, my mom put all of his stuff into boxes and rented a storage unit. We haven't been there since, and I went there finally today. And I realized all the unfinished things suicide leaves behind. The boxes were full of his clothes, but also things like half empty shower gel, a new bag of his favorite candy, tickets to a concert he never got to go to, a book with a bookmark in the middle of it, a puzzle he never got to puzzle. I don't know. It kind of just hit me how many things my dad looked forward to but never got to experience.
Yeah.
And if I can get anybody to genuinely understand one thing from this episode, I want them to understand this. 98, 99% of the time, an impulse should never be reacted on unless it needs to be reacted on. That's what a majority of these ideations and stuff are. If you just impulse all day every day, it feels easy because hey, what the fuck's going to happen? It's just another impulse. But if you just impulse on these things, look at how many things you don't get to experience even in the next 6 months. If your light switch turns off tomorrow, how many things do you not get to understand and experience and everything else? Like it's heartbreaking thinking of it that way.
Yeah,
Like
like
I
the
wouldn't
lunch
get to see
plans.
my yeah, or even like my daughter who's graduating ninth grade, my son who's going into eighth grade. Like
Yeah,
those things are fucking mind blowing
yeah.
because you know they're gonna happen.
Yeah, there's goals. Uh, these people had goals, and the goals that were never realized. Like I was saying, the lunch plans that were never canceled. These goals are in motion, and there's letters that are going to come in the mail. There's, uh, you know, it's hard to accept that the person's pain was louder than the picture of all of that.
Yeah.
And that's really what stops me in my tracks, because really there was two pointed times in my life where this kind of I knew of more people, but two that kind of affected me in two different ways, once as a teenager and once as an adult. And I remember thinking, when I was an adult and it happened, like everything kind of swirled around me, and I was like, how could this person leave her daughter? Like, and she was a grown adult daughter, but still, like, how? And then I thought, probably a minute later, wow, the pain that she was going through must have been so loud to overpower that, because I knew how much she loved her child.
Yeah. And I think the biggest part about it, and with all the therapy and all the conversations that I've had with mental health therapists and like mental health professionals, is a majority of people deal with suicidal ideation. Most people do, whether it's a one time thing or it's an everyday thing or intrusive thoughts and everything else. Those things are there. They're always there, regardless of if you're paying attention to them or not. I remember when I kind of like put my foot down and I told myself, I'm not going to do this anymore. I was at Walmart and me and my ex got into a huge argument. It was after we separated, but we went down to Walmart and I got out of the car and I walked into the store by myself. I think it was during COVID. And so obviously we didn't want to bring the baby in and stuff like that. And I was walking to the one side of the store because I had to get medication from the pharmacy. And as I walk about like halfway to the pharmacy, all of the checkout counters turn off. I'm like, fuck. So my ex-wife parks on that side of the store. I walked over to the other side just to get the one or two things I needed over there. I walk over here and now I'm just like, dude, why is this even worth going on if everything's just not going to go the way I need it to? And like, yeah, that's fucking selfish. I completely understand. But when you're dealing with something that's so intrusive and so intrinsic and you deal with it all the time because you don't see value in yourself and value in what this thing is, it becomes a struggle like that. Even stupid little things of like having to walk a little bit fucking sucks. And it's like, dude, I could just, walk into the parking lot and not care if a car stops because who cares? And it's just like, fuck, dude. I experienced so many fucking things after that point, and it's just fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's absolutely heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, you know, the abruptness of it all, I think, is the most heartbreaking part because the grief that you have is just love with nowhere to go. You don't have that person to hug anymore, or call anymore, or text anymore, and it's the permanence of it all that really rocks me to my core. Because when I was in high school, there was a classmate. I didn't know him personally, but he decided that his life wasn't valuable enough to hang out, and to this day, it's so hard for me to grasp, um, the all of it. It's so hard for me to it's really just hard for me to wrap my head around, that, like you were saying, that conflict of the selfish myth and the reality of the pain. Not only the pain that they're going through, but the pain that the survivors are going through.
Yeah, that's the thing is like pain doesn't disappear. It moves. That's all it does. And
Mm.
like it's sad and depressing, but I think of it this way. When you go into a situation like this and you're like, okay, so how do we do better? You think of the answer of like, hey, if life is so shit that I can't do this anymore, why not give it 6 months? Why not give it a year and try and do something completely different? Show yourself that you're disciplined enough to change something. Like, I know everybody shits on Andrew Tate, but I love this fucking message back. Somebody messaged him and he's like, hey, Andrew, you know, I'm suicidal right now and I don't know exactly how to do anything. I can't put life together. I can't make money. I can't do any of this. And Andrew's only answer was like, okay, then get a six pack and message me back in 6 months, which is going to sound so trivial to so many people, but it's so poignant at the same time. And this is why is you're showing yourself you can do something if you put your mind to it. The six pack for some people is completely impossible, but you can make another goal that is completely capable of being hit at that point. But it shows you that you're capable of actually putting your mind to something and doing something. And he messaged him back and he said, thank you. You gave me advice that nobody really fully understands or could put together, and that a therapist isn't going to tell me to take. They're going to tell me to go take a medication. They're going to tell me to go do this. They're going to tell me how to like feel bad about myself instead of thinking that I'm confident and competent and capable of doing these things. And that's the biggest part of this. Is like there is so much sadness that happens in these situations
Hmm.
that you will continually feel, whether it's somebody choosing to end it or somebody just ending it. Like this comment on that post, and it made me tear up when I fucking read it. And it said, when my mom took her life, I found a painting she was still working on. It's not finished, but I still have it framed and I'm hoping to hang it up soon. Even if they weren't able to finish what they were working on, just remember the joy that they had in it, in what they managed to do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm although my mother didn't choose to leave the world, I that part hits me particularly because it's one of the reasons why I couldn't walk into her house afterwards is because all the things unfinished, the list,
Yeah.
her grocery list sitting there, the list of things that she wanted to do. She she actually started writing her her obituary. So she wrote the first couple paragraphs of her own obituary. I finished it with help. Um, but that being said, she did have clothes laid out because she was planning on doing things. She had it was those unfinished things. Um, that was the hardest one of the hardest things of going back into the house. I mean, let alone that was the house that I grew up with her in, so all those memories flooding back. But yeah, 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 those unfinished things. It's crazy uh, how poignant that all can be. You
Yeah,
know, the
like
laundry.
I read that comment and I was like, "Oh, wait. Dude, my mind is so different." I'd be like, I'd bring that to Walmart
Yeah.
and get it framed on canvas, 3 of them,
Mhm.
and hand well, 4 of them, and hand one to each one of my kids and be like, "Okay, I want you to finish this." Because in a way, s- your life is a story. And at some point, there's a point where I'm no longer going to be here. And your story starts again
Yeah.
because now that's the end of your book. That's the end of your book with your dad. Now to keep going. So I don't know if I have one over here, but a few years ago, and Bree just brought this up, so my mind's kind of circling everything always. But I bought journals for each one of the kids,
Yeah.
so that way I could tell them things, that way I could tell them stories and stuff, whether I tell them on the podcast or not, and give them that sense of me still being here, even if something happens, still look through shit and find it.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was important, but I can't like find the thought process to start it. Not because like, oh my god, dude, it's so heartbreaking, but it's like, how do you do it? Like those people that have their emails to their kids starting from when they're born, it's like, okay, yeah, they did the cool thing of like, hey, you said mama today or you said daddy today. But it's like if you actually put your entire heart into things and you're completely transparent, dude, those stories go crazier. And it would be so cool to see all of those things. So it's like, dude, I want to do it, but at the same time, it's like it's weird because it's something that's going to culminate at the end of life.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because I wish that I would have had those things with my mom. I thought many times of, sending her books of getting to know your parent kind of thing and letting, her write out her story or whatever if she would. It would have been great to be able to have that, because back, I didn't have the video and the online presence. My mom would hated online shit anyway. So it was just, that to have that in her own handwriting. Would have been pretty awesome. You know what I mean? But yeah, that painting thing is pretty poignant in your life too, because you're artist and you come from artist because your mom too, and you can imagine having unfinished paintings of your mom and being able to take that and move it forward, or take it unfinished and hang it on the wall and then make a copy of it and have that one and have them both hanging in different spots. You know what I mean? To represent two different pieces, um, which is poignant in itself.
Yeah.
You know?
Because as a whole, it's almost a metaphor for what life actually is. If
Mhm.
you actually think about it, is like you finish life and you put into life the things that you put into it. If you sit there and like don't pay attention and you don't put in the effort and everything else and you just let it go, all of a sudden it is so fucking empty and it's so it's not complex, it's basic because you're not putting anything in. You're not trying to extrapolate and extend what the fuck you're doing with life. You're just kind of sitting there and relaxing and letting it be. And it's like, oh shit, dude, if I finish this, it'll be different than when she would have finished it. You could know your mom. You could be so perfect. You could know every single little bit, but it's still not going to be the way that she did it, which
Yeah,
is why I
no.
think that that's so interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, would be. It would be extremely interesting, because both of your styles are so uniquely different. Um, you know, it would be, yeah, it's just, this whole topic, it's just got me shook, and then beforehand, it took me a while to gear up for it. And I was late to come record and I kept dragging my feet, and there's a reason. There's reasons for everything, and it's part of
Mhm.
apparently what I need to to do, I have to have the conversation to get through the things. You know what I mean? And it's so very it's interesting, the things that it's kind of interesting interesting. I don't even know what other word to come up with, what it's conjured up in me. Um it's
It's hard. And it's really, really hard. And this is a way to kind of look at it too. Is like if I passed in 2020 or 2021, how would you and my mom have reacted? Would you guys have been like, "Oh my god, I should have just stopped. I should have just called. I should have just picked up the phone." And it's like, could I have fixed it? No, you probably can't. But as a whole, you could have been there, and that changes it and that impacts it. And it's like, I think that that's the biggest thing, like dealing with everything that I dealt with myself, dealing with everything that I dealt with my ex, everything that I deal with still today, everything that I help everybody else with. It's like, dude, I'd rather you fucking call. I'd rather you pick up the phone, regardless of if we're fucking mad at each other, and put things back together and work on things and make sure that I'm okay or you're okay or whatever.
Mhm.
Let's sit here and fucking cycle on this shit because this shit's fucking hard and it fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've been doing, is try to make connections with people that I didn't even have a desire to reconnect with at an earlier point. I have the desire to reconnect with, if for no other reason, for finalization for myself. To come to terms with, because I'm doing a lot of healing right now. And sometimes that comes back around, and you have to deal with the things that happened in those friendships, relationships, whatever kind of relationship that it was. You have to deal with those things. And along these lines, it was, I think this rattles me so much, because I was deeply involved with someone who the loudness of her own pain, um, was amplified much more than anything else in
Yeah.
life. And as um, as someone on the other side of that, um, it it kind of it kind of created a place in me where, um, I don't know. You say that, intuition is kind of, some kind of trauma response.
Mhm.
It was kind of traumatic, to watch and to have to just watch somebody that you love so much go through it, and there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do um, to make them feel better. And it's not
No.
not you.
And I think the bigger thing is, and it's something that we all have to kind of do within ourselves. You have to understand where you need to just sit down and relax for 5 minutes. And that's obviously, not connected to anything until I say this. Minimizing your pain and minimizing the things that you're struggling with currently is so much more of an important skill than sitting here saying that this is the worst day of my life and it's never going to change. Because it will and it can. But the only person that can change it is now saying that it's the worst day of their life and it's never going to change. You are the only person that can change it. You are the only person that can grow from it. You are the only person that can move forward in this path and in this struggle that, everybody is sitting here looking at. Like I remember when my grandma passed and everybody came up to the house and was like, "Oh, I want this shirt or I want this thing." And there were people that showed up that, I don't remember seeing ever before that. And it's like,
Hmm.
what are you doing? It's like at some point, like that's not how this works. Like maybe it's my autism. Maybe it's my ADHD of like, hey, emotional permanence is like a legitimate thing. And it's
Hmm.
like either you fix it and you're around or you don't fix it and you're not around. But like at the same time, dude, either people are around or not. It doesn't change just because you're on the other side of the world or you're not picking up the phone. It's the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of guilt that comes at that time, especially with, because people's their pride is a lot more important to there's a point in everybody where your pride is a lot more important than reconciling a situation, whether you're right or wrong. You y- y- it sometimes you may not think you need to reconcile the situation, but your psyche has a different idea. You may not be able to climb that hill of healing that you want to climb without reconciling a situation that you never thought you'd need to reconcile. You know,
Yeah.
some situations you just can't walk away from, like that. But at those times in the death where as a young child, you saw people in and out of the house that you had never seen before,
Yeah.
and it's crazy.
And it's just like, dude, if your pride mattered so much 3 years ago when you decided not to fix something and walk away, then why is your pride not stopping you from walking through that door today to get a free shirt or a free piece of jewelry to remember somebody? Dude,
Mhm.
90% of people, if you're like, hey, dude, obviously not dude to dude, but like, dude, if Nick came up to me and was like, Dad, could I have one of your shirts? I just want it because it's yours. I'd be like, yeah,
Mhm.
no question. It is what it is. But it's like, I don't, as I grow older, more and more people aren't like that. And it kind of confuses me. It confuses me because it totally doesn't make sense. It doesn't explain the way the world actually should be.
Yeah, it's kind of opposite. You know what I mean? You should be able to communicate more to make things better, but you see people not being able to, not, or being too selfish, too stubborn, not knowing how to communicate through things, and then death happens, and people are just shocked. And they're shocked into
Yeah.
reality. And if you don't take that, do something different to move forward, it's just going to happen over and over, just like everything else.
The worst piece of grief was something like this that I saw. And it was like grief about not wanting to go and see somebody in a different light than what it was. My ex, her favorite person in the entire world was her great grandfather. But he
Hmm.
was a great fucking dude. He helped, liberate people during World War II, even when he was underage, and fought his ass off and worked his ass off. He was up until the day he died, he was still doing, like, those assemblies at high schools and stuff about the things that he saw and the things that he did, explaining to them how his arm blew up and everything else. Like, one of the sweetest, coolest fucking dudes. But she never wanted to go see him, and she was as close to him as I was with my grandma and grandpa. Like, she lived there. And it was hard. Like, when he passed, she couldn't forgive herself because she didn't go. Not even
Yeah.
because they had hard feelings, but because she didn't want it to be the last time. So, like, I remember after we separated, because I was like, I know she can't do this and I don't want her to lose this stuff. I went through and I got all of the pictures that I publicly could find. I got all of the videos of him doing speeches and everything else, and put it all together and sent it to her, and I was like, here, like, regardless of if it changes anything, I want you to be okay. I want you to be able to know that this is here if you need it,
Yeah.
because it does. There's a part of things that people touch, even when you're hurting and can't realize it, that are still there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't just shut off caring about someone, no matter how something ended. You know, it's just something that you don't do. You can pretend to yourself that you do if that's what you need to do to get through, but deep down inside, there's still roots that lead there. And you have breathing, living roots that lead to that person. So you don't wish any harm on that person. I don't believe you do, because that would lead to harm to your children, regardless of what kind of
It,
relationship they have at this moment with that person.
if that harm was real, I wouldn't have taken the pill bottle out of her hands 300 million fucking times. Like
Yeah,
that is traumatic.
you don't want to hurt her.
It's yeah,
You just want to
never
speak.
been the intention.
You just want to speak. You know what I mean? About
Yeah.
things or your points of view, um, or something else. Or it doesn't mean you can have love for a person, but not be able to be in that person's everyday sphere. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you can't, but you don't have to hold a hatred because that just hurts yourself. You know.
And you see these things, and my mind just made a whole bunch of sense of a lot of shit. And obviously, this is going to change depending on the side that you're on, but the sentiment's right. There are people that were saying negative things about Charlie Kirk when he passed, instead of standing at the candlelight vigil and saying, "Hey, somebody passed."
Hmm.
There are people doing the same exact thing about that, chick in Minnesota, and explain it to whatever one that you disagree with. It doesn't fucking matter.
Mm.
Person, regardless.
A life's a life.
Like,
Mhm.
if a monster is a monster, go ahead. Let them be a part of the situation, explain what the fuck's wrong and everything else, and allow there to be a discourse about it. But a life is a life. And that life being taken still impacts multiple people.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
You know,
It.
you just want people to heal. You just want people to be okay. And and this shit is sad. Like,
Yeah.
if I passed in 2020, 2021, or even at my neck surgery, like, I don't experience some of the best days of my fucking life,
Yeah. It's true.
regardless.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I mean, not minimizing, some of the great moments you had earlier than that, but yeah, I completely get what you're saying. Some of the best parts of your life, even going into the future, you wouldn't have been here for, the reconciliation with, your mom, your godmom, it just other people in your life that fell off. It's just important. It's important to your peace. You're not going to be able to have the internal peace until you make peace with whatever it was that happened. So I guess what we're trying to get across, and I believe what I'm hearing, in what Zachary is saying is directly and indirectly is, bite the bullet and do the things now because you have no idea, at the end of the day, if that puzzle is going to be undone or those clothes are going to be, folded at the end of the the bed for tomorrow, or if that grocery list is going to be written on the the bedside table or
The
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 coffee
back
table.
of the electric bill that nobody wants to pay, that everybody does their fucking grocery list on. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I was looking back at everything with Brie last night because we were talking about concerts we went to and stuff like that. And she's like, "Well, I wouldn't want to go there because you went with your ex and everything else to go see this person." I'm like, everything I saw with her, everything I did with her was so fucking at the beginning, and after that point, life ended. And it's like, life is different now. There's no sadness now. These kids are happy about finally being able to do things instead of everything feeling like it has a fucking blanket over it and it's holding it down. It is so different and so everything else. I could have dreamed of doing the jobs that I've done or doing the things that I've done, but instead I'm doing them. If it ends at my neck surgery, I never accomplished them.
Yeah. Yep. Then and those ripples that are left behind, it's just it's heartbreaking. Death alone is heartbreaking in my in it, but add the extra the extra layer of one that you love, um, you know, taking their own life, and adds a whole another layer in many, many aspects to grief. And it's the desire to want to better yourself or better a relationship, and not wait until the tomorrows or until you have to regret it to do so. The key is to get up and do it.
Yeah. Everything is to get up and do it. Like that, even that message by Andrew Tate. It's like, oh, get up and do the sit ups and do the crunches until you have a six pack. And then maybe your mindset will be different. Dude, even if it's not, you just prove to yourself you can. At
Mhm.
some point, at some point, your life is going to feel like it's meaningless. Why make it so you guarantee you no longer have meaning instead of causing yourself to do something that is meaningful?
Right. Absolutely. And to those of you that are currently suffering, and all of us, you have 100% track record of making it through those bad days.
Yep.
Keep walking.
And even more than that, not only have you made it through those days, you know how to handle them. You may not think that you do, but that competency of like, oh, I made it through the shit and now I'm here. Dude, I'm right there with you. You have no idea the shit that I've been through. Like the amount of shit that most people go through and you feel like you're fucking alone. You're not fucking alone. Stop making your that's the victim mentality that I was talking about. It's like if you don't sit there and fall into the trap of like today's the worst day ever, I don't want to live another one of these. It's not I'm not going to live any more days. It's I'm going to change it and affect it now. It's almost like that thought process and why they say that it's selfish. It's because you're giving up. And you don't need to give up. Nobody needs to give up. Make the light switch turning off because of an illness or because you're at the end, not because you're fucking 25 and don't want to do it anymore. And I don't say that out of hate. I don't say that out of anger. I say that out of, compassion. You you have no idea what you can do in a year. You
Absolutely.
have no idea.
Absolutely.
You have no idea what you could do in a day. And I bet you overestimate how much you'll do in a minute.
Hmm. Yeah. So, think about how you carry those unfinished stories, because these things are going to happen in your life, and these losses are going to happen. But, think about, do we finish that unfinished puzzle? Do we wash those clothes on the bathroom floor? Do we keep their goals alive in some way? Or do we allow ourselves to grieve without trying to make the meaning out of things? You know, make
And,
the
and
reflection.
that's the weird part to me. Is like you see so many people flip a death into like, oh, it almost turns to advocacy and not anything, not anything for anything that you've worked for or looked at your entire life, but their
Mhm.
process. And it's like that thought process of like, oh, I'm going to do this for them. Yeah, you totally can, but it's not going to be your thing. And it's not going to be important to you after 6 months. It's not going to be important to
Yeah.
you after that emotion falls. So breathe for a second and realize what it means to you first.
Mhm.
Realize what this thing actually is. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's hard. And it's heartbreaking because you want to reach out and help people, but at the same time people are so worried about like what am I feeling right now and not what is this logically going to do, what is
Oh
this
yeah,
emotion,
absolutely.
what is this thought process going to do.
Yeah, because the emotions just take over at that moment. When you are grieving so deeply, the emotions take over. And I think that, for myself, I first, I really identify with what you just said, because at first, I wanted to create a literacy foundation, but that's not my thing. Literacy and language, that was her thing. And so I always want to help people, but I need to do it in my own way. And so I kind of melded some things together. And I'm always my style is always going to be part of her. My mom, and so I'm always going to incorporate her teachings into what I do. It's just natural, and so I kind of led away from that because the emotions at the very beginning, you don't know what to do, so you just try to move forward with anything at that point. And I didn't have really anything of my own at that point, and so then it kind of melded into something of my own. And then this grief podcast just kind of pop popped everything off and put everything together as far as puzzle pieces for me. But if you can do something um, that you love, and also keeps alive that spark within you, that all those lessons that were learned under the one that you love. If you can put together that unfinished puzzle for them, um, it might make all the difference to you in the healing.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw this comment. It said, when my best friend took her life, she still had half a cup of coffee left in her cup.
Oh,
Even though I hate coffee, I still drink half a cup every day just because she left it behind.
that's that's deep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I want to say this because in the past, month and a half, you guys decided to all of a sudden like us on Facebook and like thoroughly do things that I didn't expect.
I've been noticing that too.
Like every time I upload, every time I open Facebook, I have like 15 notifications between both pages multiple times a day.
I have more for this page than I do for my own page now. It's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
You guys are doing things and like you guys are actually I from likes, that's all I can get. Feel free to message the page with real shit, not fake shit. I don't like rage bait. Too autistic for that shit. Um but like it genuinely
Yeah,
feels like it's helping you guys. And
yeah,
like regardless, I will sit here and I will continue keep putting myself in pain or stab myself in the ribs in order to show you guys what this is about, because this is what life is.
hmm
It's not the oh my god, I need to focus on going to work today. It's how can I make these little people or this person or that person come to be a better human, because that's your job and your impact that you have on this world. Like I was trying to figure out how to like summarize all of these thoughts and everything that I have in my head. But as many things as I could sit here and be angry towards my mom or angry towards my ex about, their mentality and their mental illness and all of those things that they've dealt with are the reason why I'm able to explain this and all these things in the way that I do. I used to be much more fucking harsh. I know, probably hard to believe, but I was much more harsh with how I
That's
spoke.
true. It's true. Yeah, it's
Everything that everything that's around you impacts you in the way that you guys do things. And like I hated the saying, "Oh, you're the thing that the 10 people that you're around the most." You are. That is totally and entirely exactly what it is. You are the 10 people you're around the most. So surround yourself with not only the best people, but rich people, with people that, are eloquent and able to speak, and people that actually challenge you with the way you speak. Because if you don't do any of those things, you're going to be Uncle Johnny that's wearing a tinfoil hat and has no idea how the fuck the world works. And you're going to be confused what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. We invite you to bring your fears, your grief, your wanting to better yourself but not knowing how. Bring it to the comments. Bring it to a private message to the page, because we want to bring uh, real reality to you, and we are two people that are raw going through our own healing, and we know that a bunch of you guys are too. So I really like that idea of up uh, opening up the floor, because now there are a lot of people starting to watch our reels, and they're engaging, whether it be in a short comment or a long comment or just a like or a share to somebody that may need to hear that thing that day. And I love that. I love that. So thank you so much for that. And it's, to me, it's not about, you know, the page growing for me. It's not. But I am also seeing a lot more grief content online, and I like that too. I don't find it as competition at all. Everybody needs to heal, and everybody needs to heal in their own way. So, you know, if you have something or would like to introduce someone going through something, please send them. It
It,
might
it
be for
gives
them.
you it gives you an energy to keep going, like
Mhm.
regardless of if you realize it or not. Like even with, struggling to record podcasts for like a month and a half now because of being fucking sick as hell.
Mhm.
I was like, hey, we need to do this.
Mhm.
We need to go. Like it's okay. We got this. And I wanted to say thank you because you guys deserve it. Regardless of how it feels some days, regardless of like the struggle that you're feeling, motherfucker, you're here.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you.
You made it here and 2 billion people didn't. So you have a reason to be here. So fucking make the most of it. Or at
It's a
least
lonely
make it
road.
fun.
Yeah, got to
Light a
make it
fucking
fun.
lantern. Make it
You don't have
fucking
to do it
blue.
alone. Walk down the road. Let's go.
See you fucking next time. Bye.